So our next speaker is Mcrae, also in from Australia. And he's an executive instructor for the Natural Lifestyles, and he's the head of the Australian operation of the Natural Lifestyle. He spoke at Sasha's Direct Dating Summit, and he just finished a Euro tour with Sasha and James, and looking forward to hearing his speech. So let's welcome Liam.
Hello, lads. My name is Liam. I'm an executive coach for the Natural Lifestyles. And today, I'm going to be talking about rapid escalation. Who here knows what rapid escalation is?
Escalating rapidly?
Yes, escalating rapidly. Taking things to a sexual level with a girl really quickly, cutting out all the traditional bullshit. So let's have a flashback to an earlier point in my life when I was a lot more nervous around girls. And who here has heard of peacocking before? I was a big fan of that back in the day. And I had a full pinstripe pajama suit and danger tape around my head and 5 watches on my hands because it was party time all the time. And I was standing in a bar, nervously, like this, and this girl came up and she's like, "Hey, I like your suit." I was like, "The peacocking's working. I'm getting idolized, yes." And she was pretty confident, and she was like, "I really like your suit. Have you ever had sex before?" And I was like, "Yes." With one woman who I loved because I respect women too much to fuck them. Not the kind of guy who just uses women for sex. I make love to women. And then there was a screen at the bar with a bunch of bikini girls on it. I was like, "Look at this filth, exploiting women." I don't even want to look at it. I turn around like this, and she's just standing there the whole time looking at me like, "You fucking pussy." And she goes, "Dude, it's okay to want to get laid. It's okay to want to have sex. It's okay to want some pussy. And it's okay for a girl to want some dick. I just want some dick." And I was like, awesome. I mean, cool. I totally agree. That's so cool. Like, people should just chill out about the whole sex thing. I mean, you know. Casual sex is great. You don't have to be in love to have sex. Again, she's looking at me like, "Didn't you just say the exact opposite of that?" I was like, well, I mean, did I? Who even knows what I said? Needless to say, I didn't get laid that night, but it's a great example of how shitty my mindsets were back then. I didn't know what I wanted, I didn't know what women wanted, and I was basically telling them what I thought they wanted to hear to get in their pants. And I've come a long way since then. I'm going to be sharing some of the things I've learned on my journey. So, what is rapid escalation? It's about cutting out the traditional dating models where a guy's trying to get sex and the girl's sort of resisting, and getting to the core of your animal instinct. You want to fuck the girl, she wants to fuck you, you guys can make it happen. And for guys who want to have crazy sexual adventures, everything I'm going to be talking about today is for you. If you want to meet a girl and be able to fuck her in the bathroom 10 minutes later, if you want to meet a girl walking down the street, take her in an alleyway, and have your way with her, this is all for you. How many of you guys do day game? And how many of you would like to know how to have sex with a girl you met that day? You're all gay. Yeah, you did. Good. So that's something that I've done many times, and I'm going to be sharing how to do that today as well. But for guys who are just looking for a girlfriend, or they just want to get to know a girl and hang out with her, everything I'm talking about today is still relevant for that. Because you have to touch a girl at some point. You're going to have to escalate on her, even if it's on the 3rd or the 4th date. So learning how to get in a woman's space, to be physical with her, and to be clear about what your intent is vital to have sex with her. You're going to have to touch her at some point with your dong in her vagina, so you might as well learn how to do it from the start. And it allows you to choose the pace of the escalation. So if you want to just meet a girl and fuck her in 10 minutes, you can choose to do that. If you want it to drag it out and build up the sexual tension, you can choose to do that. It means that you're not a victim to the whole model of, it's the first date, Maybe I'll get a pash at the end. Oh, it's the second date. Now I'm going to grab her boob. Yes. It's the third date. Now she owes me sex because we've been on 3 dates. So she better give it to me. Fuck that. No one likes that. Girls don't find that sexy. There's no guys who will love that, and no one gets laid fast enough. It's not fun. So that whole model is retarded. So I'm going to start by talking about some of the major roadblocks that guys have in their mind that stop them from creating the sexual encounters that they want. And the most classic one is something James has already talked about, which is the idea that girls don't really like sex and they just trade it for relationships. Who here has had that attitude at some point in their life? And that was exactly what was coming through in that first story. I was like, women only want sex with guys they love. And it's a total myth that's been fed to us by the media and by society. For whatever reason, it gets perpetuated, and it doesn't help people to get laid. And girls don't really like that idea either. It really narrows down the scope of sexual possibility between a man and a woman. So you need to fuck that idea right off if you want to be the sexual adventurer in a woman's life. And that women only have sex with guys they're dating. As James Marshall said before, girls will have sex with men in a whole range of different scenarios. Sometimes it's with their boyfriend, sometimes it's a guy that they just met. So realizing that and realizing that you can be that guy is a powerful thing. And I love this one. Women only like soft, tender lovemaking sessions with men they're in love with and to be gently caressed. Who here has had that attitude before? It's embarrassing. I've had that happen to me so many times when I was younger. That's what I thought girls wanted, and they'd look at me like, what are you doing to me? And yeah, that's another total myth. Girls are animals. They have the same biological drives and desires as men. Sometimes they just want to be fucked like an animal. More bad mindsets. It's disrespectful to touch a woman without her expressed consent. A lot of guys seem to expect that a girl's going to go, you may now touch my breast. It's not going to happen. And that it's creepy to show your sexual intent too early. How many of you guys feel creepy when you're escalating on a girl? I definitely used to feel like that. And that's one of the attitudes that's going to stop you from creating those fast sexual encounters. If you're going in to try to seduce a woman, but at the same time you're thinking, this is creepy and I'm disrespecting her, it's really not helping. The way I think about it is, it's disrespectful if you don't escalate on her, because you're not being clear about what you want and you're not showing her how you feel about her physically. And this is just another perpetuation of the same myth that women just like money, jewelry, clothes and shoes, and they just have sex to get that stuff. Me and James have been broke musicians for years, and both of us have had sex with a lot more girls than a lot of the rich men out there. So women are not primarily motivated by any of those things. And women don't think about sex very often. This attitude's so funny because the more girls that I've met, the more I've realized they're constantly thinking about sex. I'll see a girl on the train, I'm like, oh, I wonder how long it's been since she's got laid. She's standing there like this. They're thinking about sex all the time, and they're constantly being bombarded with media and their friends talking about sex, and they're reading in Cosmo 58 ways to suck your boyfriend's dick, and then watching Sex and the City where the girls are on a new date every week, and they're like, why am I not getting laid all the time? Everyone else seems to be getting laid out there and I'm not. So the cool part about this, again, is that you can be that guy. You can be the guy who releases them from their sexual drought. Every time I bang a girl, I feel like I'm doing her a favor because I'm like, if it wasn't me, how much longer would you have gone for without sex? So, some more positive mindsets. Women love sexual adventures. Who here has read an erotic novel or anything like that? Only one guy. All right, the rest of you need to go home and read an erotic novel. They give you a great insight into the way that women think about sex. And it's always a dangerous, racy, risky adventure. There's never like an erotic novel where the girl's like, oh, we went on a date and he was really nervous and then he awkwardly tried to kiss me in the car at the end, and then on the second date he touched my boob and then I told him he couldn't and he stopped, and he was really slow with his escalation and unsure about it, and it was just so hot how he didn't really own his sexual intent. No woman has that fantasy. The fantasy is always, a pirate who came and took her on a ship off to a desert island, or some Duke of Count Squafflington who takes her on the back of his horse into the forest, or something crazy like that. And you can step into that role and be the Duke of Squafflington in her life, and be the guy who takes her on a sexual adventure. Women will have sex with a complete stranger in the right circumstance. You might have a girl who is really conservative in her social circle. When she's dating a guy who everyone knows, she'll make him wait 5 or 6 dates. But then suddenly she's on a holiday in Brazil. It's her last night. She meets some guy at the bar. She's like, no one's going to find out. Might as well get some Brazil loving. Woo! And that's a girl who no one would expect would do that, but in that situation she does. And women spend a lot of their time sexually frustrated and dying for release. Again, you're the guy who frees them from their drought. It's a really powerful mindset to have. So, moving on to the 5 pillars of rapid escalation. Your intent, your eye contact, your voice, your touch, and pulling the trigger. So, starting with intent. Your intent is what you think, feel, and project to the world. You need to be really fucking clear about what it is that you want to communicate to the woman if you're trying to fuck her in 10 minutes. You can't come up to her and sort of be pretending that you want to get to know her and just have a bit of a chat, and really you want to fuck her. You need to be able to communicate that with your whole energy. Who has ever met a guy that you can just feel is ready to fight? Put your hand up. Actually, make it a fist and put it up. He doesn't have to wear a t-shirt that says, I do karate. He doesn't have to say, I am ready to fight. You just feel it from his whole intent and his energy. It's really clear. So in the same way, when I'm talking to a woman, my intent is really clear. You're sexy, I want to fuck you. Let's get naked together and do some fun stuff. And from that place, everything else becomes infinitely easier. If it's driving the whole seduction if you're able to make it clear that you want to fuck her. Because everything you do from then on makes total sense to her. Why is he touching me? Oh, of course, he wants to fuck me. And what this intent does is it creates a bubble between you and the girl. I'm going to use Hannah for a demonstration. So when I'm talking to a girl, my intent is that I want to fuck her. So I'm in her space, I'm looking her deep in the eye. I'm not thinking about what's going on out there or out here. It's just us two in a little bubble, self-contained. And it draws us into this world. And I'm giving her my energy that I want to fuck her. And she is feeling that. And if she's giving that back to you, it creates a really powerful energetic exchange. Have a seat. Thank you. And one way that I've heard this described is that you should imagine yourself fucking the girl. But if you're standing there and you're thinking in your head about, oh, okay, she's in her lingerie and she's got a banana and there's a goat. If you're trying to create some sexual scenario, then you're still stuck in your head. The way I express it is that you need to feel it. You need to be in the moment with her, feeling what it feels like to touch her, feeling what it feels like to look deep into her eyes without blinking, and press your body close against her. Second principle, your eye contact. I'm going to do a demonstration of this first, because it's kind of funny. I'll get you to stand up again. So, does this look sexy? Hi. So, what's your name?
Hannah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right, what am I doing wrong here?
Looking around at girls.
Yeah. I'm not able to look her right in the eye. I'm not able to hold the sexual tension and the pressure that comes with that. So I'm communicating to her that I'm nervous and that I'm not going to be very good in bed. So your eye contact needs to be really clear and really direct. You need to be able to handle the pressure of looking her right in the eye and letting her know with your intent, I want to fuck you. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to take it much further. And the facial expression that I have when I'm seducing a woman is a sly smirk that says, I know your secret. I know that you like to have sex. And I'm not smiling too much, but I'm smiling just enough so that she knows that I know what she wants. And from that place, that creates a shared secret of sex between you. So one of the most common ways that guys mess this up is what I was showing before. They're blinking too much, and also when they're talking, they're nodding a lot, and it releases all the pressure. So there's a lot more pressure that you can create by just doing nothing, as opposed to going like this. Yeah, so where do you go to school?
Houndstown.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a cool place for school, yeah. So are you a crazy girl or?
A little bit.
Yeah, cool. All right, not very sexy. And this is how I met my girlfriend. I was teaching a boot camp in Melbourne, and as we were walking down the street, we were skipping along like this because we were doing some silly social freedom mission. And as she was about to leave, I said, "Stop. What's your name?"
Hannah.
And we spent about 30 seconds staring into each other's eyes like that, talking absolute shit like, "Oh, where do you go to school? Cool." But because of what we were communicating through our eyes, it created a really powerful energetic connection. And when she was about to leave, I was like, "I need to get your phone number." And 10 months later, she's still my girlfriend. So the amount of energetic exchange just through something as simple as your eye contact can lead to something really powerful. Thank you. Have a seat. All right, third pillar, your voice. I would say that this is one of the most common problems that guys in the seduction community have. They talk way too fast and way too much, and their voices doesn't command any authority or communicate any sexuality to women. And I was like this. I used to talk really quickly. I'd be like, "Hey, so how you going? Yep, cool, that's awesome. Oh my God, you studied that? That's cool. Yep." And you'll notice that at the end of that sentence, my voice went up like that. A lot of guys do this, and it makes you sound like a massive wuss. So I'll do another example while I'm talking to you. So the difference between, "Hey, how you going?"
Okay, thanks.
"Oh, good. Yeah, cool. That's awesome." And so what do? You working or studying? Both? Neither?
Just working.
Just
as a
working?
model.
Oh,
Yeah.
a model. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, cool. And so what else do you do?
Well, I like to go to the gym.
Oh, gym. Great. I like to go to the gym too, if you know what I mean. So a lot of guys I coach, this is the way they talk. And until I mic them up and play them back, they're like, "Oh my God, I sound like a fag." I'm like, yes, you do. So the important things with your voice, firstly, slow the fuck down. So instead of, "Hi, what do you do? You working or studying?" Just say, "So, what do you do?"
I'm a model.
Model.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that I'm also pausing after she finishes talking. So in the bad example, she'd say model and I'd go, "Model, cool, blah, 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 blah." And it's like I can't handle the pressure of the silence that gets created when I don't talk. So being able to just shut the fuck up and let her speak creates a lot more tension, and it's a lot easier for you. And it gives you space to think. When I pause halfway through a sentence, during the silence, I'm thinking about the next phrase. I didn't even know how I was going to end that sentence when I started it. That's how easy it is. So it doesn't mean that you have to speak slowly like a robot, like, "Hi, my name is Liam." You can still speak at your normal speed, but you need to put pauses in between your phrases for dramatic effect. So this is really powerful. Who can feel the tension that gets created when I pause like that? Anyone feel a bit nervous just then? They're all stunned in silence. Good. And the power that that creates when you're talking to a girl is huge, because it shows that you can handle the pressure, and it helps you share the pressure with her. Instead of you trying to run the whole conversation, you're doing it together. So I would say, "Hi,
Hi.
what's your name?
Hannah.
And what do you do with yourself, Hannah?"
I'm a model.
Model. Are you any good?
I'd say I'm pretty good, yeah.
You look pretty good.
Thanks.
So it shows that I'm relaxed, and it's a totally different vibe to the guys going, "Yeah, cool, awesome, and modeling, blah, 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 blah." All right, thank you. Have a seat. Fourth principle, touching. Vitally important to escalating, obviously, because it is escalating. So when James taught me this simple rule for touching, it blew my mind because of how easy it is. I'll get you to stand up again. This is the way that I used to touch girls before I met James. I'd be standing like this, and I'd sort of, hey, how you going?
Okay, thanks.
And then I'd go, so, cool top. So what are you up to tonight?
Going out.
Great. What's your name?
Hannah.
Cool. And James is like, what the fuck are you doing? Just stand closer to her. I was like, he's like, what if you were to just do this? Hey,
Hey,
what's your name?
Hannah.
I'm Liam.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. All right, so just by literally standing closer, it increases your touch infinitely because without even trying to touch her, our bodies are already touching. I'm getting in her space. I'm making it really clear. I want to be touching you. I want to get physical with you. And it's actually a lot more secretive and sexy than any of this shit because did I mean to just brush her like that? Or is that just an accident? Or is it a pleasant accident? And from this position, there's so much touch that you can get away with and that the girl wants you to do because of how close you are. So you'll notice when I tried to put my hand in her lower back from over here, looks fucking retarded. Whereas, I'll get you to turn around. If I'm touching her, if I'm standing here like this and we're chatting, and I can just go like this, it's very subtle and very discreet. And from this position, you can also, your hand can just brush like that. If they're wearing a skirt, oh, see, look at that, she's good. Your hands can interlink like this. The backs of your hands can brush. You can grab your hand like this and just cup. All the way up to touching a girl here, like this. And this is all very subtle. It's a lot less obvious to someone watching than if I'm over here trying to fucking do this shit. All right, so turn around again. So yeah, just literally standing close makes every element of touch so much easier. And your first touch should be firm but sensual. And finally, you should touch her like she's already your girlfriend. How many of you guys have had a girlfriend before? Most of you, good. And how many of you felt escalation anxiety every time you were about to touch her? Okay, a few, but most of you not. So the point is, once you're already comfortable with a girl and it's assumed that you guys are going to be touching each other and it's going to feel good, it's really easy to escalate. So that's what my attitude is for every girl that I'm seducing. I'm just going to stand there and put my hand like that. I'm just going to playfully go like this. My hands are going to be interlinking. And all of this kind of touch, because I'm acting like it's normal for us and it's familiar and it feels good, it makes it much easier for her to drop into that fantasy. If I was to be projecting the mindset of like, she's really not going to like this, but I'm going to do it because Liam told me to, then it's not going to create the same sexual chemistry. All right. I'll get you to stay standing for a minute because I'm going to move on. All right, actually, sorry, you can have a seat.
Thank you.
Discretion. So women are very conscious of their social standing. And it's much easier to escalate on a woman overtly when you guys are isolated and away from her friends. So keeping this in mind when you're escalating on a girl demonstrates that you understand her situation and you can be trusted to not do something retarded like try and make out with her in front of all of her friends. Understanding that and being able to lead her to a place that's secluded gets you a lot of points as a seducer. And that's also why the standing close and the subtle touch is so powerful, because to someone else looking, it looks like you guys are just friends or you're having a chat, or maybe you're already boyfriend and girlfriend. And it's a lot more subtle for anyone else who's watching. It's a shared secret between you and the woman. And it also has no consequence. If I was to just go, honk, honk, and grab onto her boobs, that's going to have a pretty big consequence because she's going to have to react to that. But putting my hand like I was doing just on her lower back or on the back of her leg, she can just move away slightly and it's like it never happened. So she doesn't have to have a big reaction to it and it can just go unspoken. So your first touch. I'm going to talk about how to do the initial touch in different situations. So in a bar situation, the one that I just demonstrated, stand up again, approaching her, standing close to her, and putting her hand on her lower back. It's a pretty standard one. So let's say she's in the bar, just waiting to buy a drink. I'm just like, oh, hello. You love it. Let's have a look at this. Saunter on over. Hello,
Hey,
I'm Liam.
Hannah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And what is this already setting up? Do I look like someone who wants to be a friend? Do I? What do I look like? Look like someone who wants to be a special friend. All right. Another example is shaking their hand. So the handshake is something that you can really milk for a lot of sexual tension. So if I come and introduce myself and say, hi,
Hey,
I'm Liam.
Hannah.
What's your name?
Hannah.
You already said that.
I know.
I asked twice. You're really sexy, Anna.
Thank you.
So that's a handshake that has been milked for a lot of sexual tension. I could have done it like this. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Liam. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Cool. And it just would have missed out on that whole chance for all that sexual tension that we just built up. And like I said before, that was how I met my girlfriend, literally by just holding onto her hand and leaving it like that. And I have a story about this. I was in the Ivy in Sydney, which is a club that is renowned for having toilets that you're supposed to fuck in. Each of the logos is like two people fucking, a male and a female logo. I was like, I have to fuck someone in these bathrooms. And I was out with James, and I saw this girl walking towards me. I said, stop. I said, what's your name?
Hannah.
I'm Liam. And we stood like this, literally holding hands this close and staring into each other's eyes for 10 minutes. We're talking about waffle, nothing really important, but we were really in each other's space. We were looking deep into each other's eyes, and there was a lot of sexual tension. And eventually our bodies were pressed against each other. I was teaching her a belly breathing routine where I'm pressing my stomach out as I breathe out, and she's pressing hers out. And after about 10 minutes, I said, do you want to come to the bathroom with me? But I didn't say it like that, obviously. I said, do you want to come to the bathroom with me? And she said, no. So we stood there for another 5 minutes, literally not moving. The whole fucking club is buzzing all around us, and we're just in this little bubble. People are walking past, and they're like, whatever. And then 5 minutes later, I said, do you want to go for a walk with me? She said, where to? I said, just somewhere. She said, okay. And then we walked straight to the bathrooms and had sex. And that was all just because of the way that I milked the opener until I fucked her, basically. I said hi to her, all this sexual tension built up, and I released it in her vagina. Charmiana. All right, so sitting down, just to make it clear, you can sit down next to a girl and put your hand on her leg. It's subtle, but it makes it clear that you want to touch her. So, hi. You're cute.
Thank you.
All right, and who wants to hear some examples of your initial touch during day game? Does anyone here escalate on girls during the day? All right, you're all about to find out how then. So, one way I'll do this is if I talk to her and I'm giving her the look, my intent's really clear, you're sexy, and she's giving that right back to me, I'll give her a hug and I'll hold on to it for a bit too long. So I've just said, hi, I just saw you from over there, blah, blah, blah. I don't really say that. I'll just say, you look cute. And then I'll say, give me a hug. And I'll hug her like this. And then I'll pull back, and it's like we've just kissed. And it started as an innocent hug, but suddenly we're up close in each other's space. So you're transporting the girl into the fantasy of, oh, suddenly we're in this lovers scenario. And if she's down with that, then you can keep pushing it and see how much further you can take it. So the handshake example, as I said before, you can do that in the daytime as well. And holding hands when you're walking down the street with a girl. So if you're on an instant date, you'd be surprised how easy it is to just hold a girl's hand. So I'll often just as we're crossing the road or going up some stairs, or if I just feel like it, I'll reach down and hold their hand. And it's a really powerful compliance test, because if as you're walking along, if you hold their hand and they just hold on to it, it's like, sweet, we've got a subtle but very clear sign that we both like each other. And I want to tell you guys another story of how I used all this stuff during the daytime. You can have a seat for this. So I was walking along, went up to this girl, told her she was hot, kept walking with her, and then as we crossed the road, I started holding hands with her. Then I started massaging her on the inner arm, and she was massaging my inner arm. And we walked down some stairs under a bridge, and I was like, this is very romantic, isn't it? Actually, I'll demonstrate this on you. So we're walking along like this, and then I was like, I feel like we should almost have a dance. And then we went like that, and I pushed her against the wall, and we kissed. And then we kept walking, and we went to the casino, and I was like, I really need to fill up my water bottle. I think we should just go into the bathroom and fill it up. She was like, I think we should. So we went into the disabled toilets, and she wasn't even wearing any panties, so that was easy. Have a seat. And that's something that I've gone on to do multiple times. And it's one of those things that Sasha was talking about before. Only 3% of people really have a crack and try the crazy shit in life. A lot of guys, when I tell them about daytime sex, they're like, nah, you couldn't do that. I'm like, really? How many times have you gone out and tried to fuck a girl in the daytime? How many times have you actually escalated on a girl you met during the day? And they're like, oh, well, I mean, who would do that anyway? I'm like, people who want to get laid in the day, like me. So go out and try it and see what happens. Some crazy shit might happen. Legitimate touch opportunities. These are basically very discreet ways for you to touch a woman where you both know the real reason is because you want to touch each other, but you're pretending that it's to do with something else. So inspecting their clothing or their jewelry can be a really powerful way. Now, obviously, I would be sitting a lot closer like this. And if she had a necklace on, which she doesn't, but I can pretend that she does, I can just say, you don't have a necklace. Why not?
Don't wear jewelry.
And if you're inspecting someone's necklace, it's a pretty innocent thing. But what does this look like? When I'm in this space, this intimate with her, there's a lot of sexual tension that's going to get built from that, right? This is not a position that friends would find themselves in. Likewise with their earrings. Do you wear jewelry? I think that your ears would look good with earrings on. So I'm talking about an earring, but I'm really using it as an excuse to caress her ear and her neck. And this is one of those subtle things that as you do that, you're really gauging her interest. If she goes like that and pulls away, she's obviously not that comfortable. But if the girl's into you, that's a pretty good sign if she's letting you caress her ear like that. And it's going to build up a lot of sexual tension because this whole area of a woman's body is really sensitive. So touching her there and also whispering in her ear creates a lot of sexual tension. So I'm going to tell you a secret. It doesn't matter what the secret is. I just really wanted to. I just said, it doesn't matter what the secret is. I just really wanted to do this. But the important part is my prickly beard is grazing against her ear and her cheek. I'm getting right up in her space, but it's just to tell her something. I'm not doing anything bad. And also, there's another good one, leaning across to get something and just... All right, whispering in her ear. Squashing close in the crowd. We'll get you to stand up for this. So, if you're in a crowded club and you're both talking, I'm standing like this, maybe a bunch of people are walking past, and I'll say, hold on, come over here, because someone's coming past. So I'm just being polite and making sure that the other people can get through. But, now suddenly we're pressed against each other like we're naked. Moving her out of the way of a crowd or a loudspeaker. I say, let's pretend it's really loud. What's your name?
Hannah.
What? Come come over here. It's too loud. So pulling her away like that allows you to start leading her and building that compliance. If she's going to come along with those little moments, it's only a short step for you to go, let's go to the bathroom. I wouldn't say it, but just walking her there. Directing her attention. So I also say, check out that guy right there. Do you reckon he looks like that guy right there?
A little bit.
Okay, so I'm just pointing at someone in the crowd, but I'm all up in her space, my hands on her lower back, and we're pressing in against each other. Another good little excuse for us to touch each other. And girls will do that kind of stuff all the time. Who's been at a bar and had a girl go, let me just get a straw, and press the tits against you? I don't know, I gotta get water. Or lean across to get something, and suddenly she's accidentally brushed against you. You're smiling because you've done this before, haven't you? Huddling in the cold. This is something that on the Euro Tour I just recently did. I was in a bar in Budapest. I started talking to these two girls. One of them barely spoke English. And then I saw her shiver. And I stood up and I said, "You're cold, come here." And I opened my jacket and she put her arms in like this. And we literally didn't move from this position for 10 minutes. We just stood there like this. And the only break was for her to come like this and look at me and look me in the eye and say, "What are you thinking?" "You're thinking of what?" And I would just say, "What are you thinking?" And then her friend would translate. She says, "Warm hug. Good hug. She like your beard." And then I would just go like this. And that was all we did for 10 minutes. Then her friend went to the bathroom and she said, "Where you stay? Where you sleep?" And I showed her my address and she said, "Close to my hotel." And so I said, "Do you want to sleep at my house?" And she said, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, let's go." And it was that simple. We barely spoke the same language, but because my intent was really clear, I want to fuck you, I was able to look her right in the eye. My voice was slow. And even though she didn't know what I was saying, it was still sexy. I was able to touch her. I wasn't like, "I'll give you a hug to keep you warm." Or, "Here, have my jacket." I was like, "Come on, this will feel good." And then finally, I just said, "Let's go," and we left. All right, have a seat. Oh, and comparing hand sizes. When I was going through this with her earlier, she's like, "Oh, I love that one." So maybe you should just do it on me. Your hands are very petite. I think mine are much bigger.
Yeah.
They're very flexible as well. And we're just comparing hand sizes. We're just seeing who has a bigger hand, but we're also touching each other very sensually. Subtle, sensual touching. Stand up again, please. So I hinted at this one before. This is the type of touch where you're touching her in a way that feels really good for her and is very discreet. So that might be just running your hand like this, up her inner arm. It might be running your hand across the back of her neck and massaging her there. Running your hand through her hair and pulling her hair back a bit. She's into that, which you evidently are. Brushing her neck like that. And if she's wearing a skirt, or even through her jeans, if you're sitting down, just running your hand like that, or turn around. If she's wearing a skirt, just like this whole area here is very sensitive. So it's very a bold move to do because most of the time she's not going to react at all. She's just going to passively accept it. If she doesn't like it, so let's say I just touch her like that, she'll pull away and make it really clear. But if she does like it, she's not going to go, "Oh, jolly good. Thank you for touching me. Do it again." They're just going to do nothing. And when I first started touching girls, I used to be like, "Oh shit, she hasn't said yes yet, so that means she doesn't like it." You just have to trust that if they don't say anything, they like it. Yeah, Awesome. Oh yeah, sorry. The last one is rubbing your beard on their cheek. I already covered that. But just basically, if you're leaning in to whisper something, blah, 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 and your beard rubs across their cheek, how does that feel?
Good.
Good. All right, you can have a seat. Oh, risky touch. Okay. This is very high risk, but very high reward. Basically, anything that's pushing it too far. So trying to finger a girl in public. How many people have fingered a girl at the bar? I know Mr. John Cooper has. Oh, wow, a lot of you have. When I first met John, he came to Australia. He's like, so can you take us to a real grimy bar? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, a place where you can just have a bit of a dance, have a bit of a finger on the dance floor. I'm like, I like this guy. So the opposite of that is getting her to touch your dick. And this is something that I've done many times. One example was, I can't tell the whole story. I just fucked one girl in a park, and I went to the club, and I was sitting down like this, in this like post-sex state, and this girl walked up and she said, hi, have you seen my friends? I'm like, no, we can be friends. She said, no, we can be enemies. And I said, okay, have a seat. And I said, so what's up? And she said, enemies don't talk. I was like, okay. But she's still sitting there, so I'm like, fuck it, I already had one tonight, let's see what happens. And she was sitting there like this, so I just went like this. And started touching her. She didn't do anything, so I just went and put a hand on my boner. And then just leaned in and kissed her. Still no talking, stood up, walked straight to the toilets and fucked her. And what is really going on there is you're showing her the effect she's having on you. Girls love turning guys on that they're attracted to. So you showing her, this is what you're doing to me. You're making me really stiff down there. That's a really big compliment to give to a girl. And I'm not just going into bars and going up to girls and going, hello, love. Yeah, you love it. I would probably be in jail now if I did that. What I'm actually doing is going up to girls, gauging their interest, creating a lot of sexual tension with them, and once they induce me to have a boner by playing back, I'm like, okay, she's earned this. I want to let you know what you're doing to me. And it's a very exciting thing. So you need to get the woman to set her boundaries. It's really disrespectful to decide for her. A lot of guys they'll see sitting there, they're like, maybe I should touch her. Oh, no, she won't like that. I'm not going to do it. You're a fucking asshole if you do that, because you don't know what she wants. You need to push it to the point that she either fucks you or says no, so that you can let her decide what she wants. And a lot of girls will set a boundary and then you'll be allowed to cross it later on. It's more about your reaction to their touch, to the way that you touch them. So if they reject you, then if you get weird about it, it's going to make it more weird. But let's say I touch her like this, and then just take my hand off. It was a bit forward, wasn't it? All right, I'll just keep my hands to myself for now. And I've had situations where I've said stuff like that to girls and then fucked them 10 or 20 minutes later. Because what you're communicating is, I can read your body language, your signals. I understand how I'm making you feel. So later on, if you're not feeling good about it, I'm going to be able to stop. And then the girl's like, oh, well, if he knows that, then I don't know if I want him to stop. It's really sexy to show that you can understand her body language and that she can trust you to respect her boundaries. So it's only really creepy if you make a move and she sets a boundary and then you just keep crossing it. If you go like this and she's like, stop, and then you're like, yeah. It's like the difference between a gentleman seducer and a creepy sleaze. Gentleman seducer makes bold sexual advances and then respects her boundaries once she draws them. A creepy sleazy guy just keeps fucking advancing until she calls the cops. And yeah, as I just said, your reaction is more important than her reaction. So a lot of guys have a huge fear of being a creep. And I think this is one of the biggest things that holds a lot of guys back. When you realize that it's only creepy if you keep persisting, it puts you in a totally different mindset. This is the fifth pillar. You need to be able to pull the trigger at some point. Through all the stories I've been telling you guys tonight, you would have seen that in every moment, I had to pull the trigger and do something. I had to try and take her into the bathrooms in the casino. I had to take that girl, stand up, and walk her to the bathroom. It's not going to happen unless you pull the trigger. So this is the most important part of rapid escalation. Actually just going for it, risking rejection and seeing what happens. And finally, you need to make it clear to the girl that you're not going to judge her after you fuck her. The girl needs to understand that you're going to respect her after the sex. So I make that really clear. Sometimes girls will go, oh, I don't want to fuck you because then you won't respect me afterwards. I'm like, actually, I'm going to go respect you more because it shows you're sexually liberated. It shows you do what you want. It shows you're rebelling against the social constraints of what women are allowed to do. And it shows that you're in the moment and able to have fun and experience a sexual adventure with a guy you just met. So we don't have time to talk about this. We'll skip right over it. Who wants some homework? Do you want homework or not? All right, stand up. So I want you guys to go out and try all of this stuff. Do each of these to 25 girls. Put your hand on her lower back, see how long you can leave it there before she gets weird about it. Shake hands with a girl for too long without breaking eye contact. See if you can handle the pressure. Try and kiss 25 girls in the first 10 seconds of talking to them. So, hi, I'm Liam, and you're really sexy. I'm gonna kiss you. Maybe in a minute. So go out and do that 25 times and some weird shit will start to happen. Ask 20 girls to come home with you. That's pretty self-evident. You need to be able to pull the trigger and be ballsy. That's what it's teaching you. And put your hand on a girl's leg while secret and leave it there. Even if she doesn't say anything, even if she doesn't say, oh, jolly good. So in summary, what I've given you guys is a whole bunch of tools to go out and make women feel sexy. There's a whole bunch of girls out there craving sexual adventure, and I want all of you to go and make them experience and live out those fantasies that they're dreaming of. It allows you to connect energetically and physically with women on a whole different level. A question I often ask my students is, how many girls have you made feel sexy this week? And they're always like, none. I'm like, not enough. So with this whole process of rapid escalation and trying to fuck girls quickly, escalating as fast as you can, the good massively outweighs the bad. The worst thing that's going to happen is a girl's going to go, or that's a bit weird. And you're going to go, okay, and try it on another girl. The best thing that's going to happen is you're going to meet a girl and fuck her 10 minutes later, giving her this amazing sexual experience. So if she likes you, you get laid. And if she doesn't, you'll find out really quick. This means no more sitting in long 25-minute conversations and then going for the girl's number and then her going, oh, my boyfriend wouldn't like that. If you're touching her lower back and trying to make out with her in 10 seconds, she's going to have to bring up the boyfriend very quickly. Hope you guys go out and make a lot of women feel really sexy. My name's Liam Mcrae. My blog is rapidescalation.com. So you can all go check that out, read about more of my crazy stories and see some infield videos of me pulling that stuff off. If you want to learn about from James Marshall, the guy who trained me, his website is thenaturallifestyles.com. And if you want to come party with him and his whole crew on the Euro Tour with Sasha, check out theeurotour.com. Hope you guys make lots of girls feel sexy. I'm Liam Mcrae. Have a good day. And now we will open the court for questions. No one? Great, that means I did an amazing talk and everything was covered. I'll just stand here for 5 minutes then. I'll do this. Yes?
Just about venues, I guess. Where do you find? I mean, there's some girls are going to be more or less comfortable doing things in certain places. So, I wonder if you could go a little bit more into how you move between different venues, or what kinds of venues.
So you're basically saying, are there some venues that are more suited for rapid escalation?
Yeah.
No, I've had rapid escalations in trashy uni bars. I've had them in high-end glamour clubs. The principles are still the same. You're a man. You're going up to a woman and giving her a really strong sexual connection. She is either choosing to act on that or not. Where you guys are is largely irrelevant. And that's why it's still possible to do this stuff in the daytime as well. If you're clear on what your sexual intent is, you're able to touch her and lead her to a place where you guys can get physical. It really doesn't matter where you are. This is why I've done rapid escalations in fucking everywhere. Laneways, bathrooms, club toilets, casino bathrooms, parks, my car, airports. Like, the whole point of this is that you can do it anywhere. So, no, there is not a particular venue. Next question.
Just with what you've explained to us, like, yeah, exactly. That to me sounds like you have to be so fucking switched on and in your true masculine sense to do all of that stuff, which I think's exactly. I can see every single girl falling for that every single time. It's beautiful. But how do you get that consistently? You're in that, be able to deliver those actions and that behaviour and just not any doubt in your mind and that strength. Where do you go for that?
All right, where I go for that is doing those missions that I just set. When I was trying out this stuff, it actually started from me being scared of conversation and being like, there's so many possibilities. I might say this or I might say that, and then what will she say? And then one day me and my friends were like, what if we just go and try and make out with every girl in the venue? What would happen? We're like, fuck, that's a crazy idea. So we just started going up to girls and going, hey, you're cute, let's make out. And when you do that regularly, it forces you to become really clear on what your intent is, slow down your voice, and just communicate the bare necessities of I want to fuck you. The other thing is just doing meditation and being relaxed in yourself and in the space. So I will meditate in nightclubs all the time. When I go out, if there's no any girls that I want to approach at that particular moment, or I'm coaching and guys are all in set, I'll just stand there by myself, doing circular breathing, looking around, and drinking in the energy of the room. A lot of guys try and take the pressure off themselves by like checking their phone and fucking getting a cigarette and having a drink and walking quickly to there and then going to the dance floor and going to take a piss. And it's all just ways for them to try and escape the pressure they feel in a nightclub. It's a very high pressure social situation. And training yourself to relax in that and just be able to be chill allows you to read it on a whole different level. And you start seeing the girl who's just standing at the bar with her ass pointing out a bit, kind of giving you a glance. Whereas before, if you were on your phone and fucking all scattered, you would have missed that. And this happened last night. I was at the bar, and because I was just standing there scanning the room slowly, I saw the girl who just had a drink like this and gave me a look. Whereas if I'd been like at the bar, like, yep, I'll have a vodka or something, I would have just totally missed that. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Any other questions? All right, give me another round of applause. And one more for Hannah.